Good morning and welcome to the Light TV Breakfast Show. I'm your host, George Sompola. And if you're just tuned in, dear viewer, you're watching us live on channel 121 on your top star decoder. You're also watching us live on Facebook and YouTube. Indeed, it's a warm welcome to the Light TV Breakfast Show on the 21st of April 2026. Indeed, it is a beautiful day, and I'm joined in the studio by a special guest, by Mr. Mugala, all the way from Chalimbana University. Please welcome to the program.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Joseph.
Mr. Joel.
Joel, yes. Thank you so very much for having me here, and I don't take this lightly, especially that I came, not last month. So again, having this opportunity, I give thanks to the TV station, and I recommend you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Today we have a very interesting topic on the future of free education, and we are looking at Education Bill 6. So many are wondering and asking, what does the introduction of Education Bill 6 mean for the future of sustainability and the strengthening of free education here in Zambia?
All right, thank you so very much. We don't want to talk about everything which is in Education Bill 6. But what consists more, what is making this Bill 6 to be so very important is the Objective A, which is giving the right to free education. And a number of youths and people who have seen the advantage and the impact of free education, we have been advocating and also cautioning the government so that they can legalize free education. And now when you see in the Education Bill 6, Objective A, it is now providing right to free education. So we recommend, this is a recommendable movement from the government, and something which we need to take it very serious. Because now the government, we are talking about the future of free education, especially consists in the Education Bill 6. So the government, they have now seen it to say we need to move this free education from a policy position into a legal framework. So I want to take you back, Mr. Joe, and our viewers who are watching about this issue of Education Bill 6, and more important on the free education. So free education is not something which is very new in Zambia. Even Dr. Kaunda, 1964, we had the free education, but we had it in the form of policy, and we sought to by removing it because of other issues. Now the government, after they analyzed everything to say free education since 1964, it has been lying in the policy formulation, not in a legal framework. Now the government, with the collective effort of the citizen, we want now to remove it from the policy into the legalizing it so that you can now put in a framework. So it's already a future, because now we have seen the reason why it was being removed because of other issues. It was very easy to be removed because it was just operating under a policy framework.
Okay, wonderful, really interesting. I like the way you've taken us back to the days of late President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and the wonderful free education policy. Now, moving further, as an advocate, do you believe that Bill 6 fully safeguards the right to free education, or are there still legal and policy gaps that need to be addressed?
All right, thank you so very much for that wonderful question. So you were just asking me if I believe this bill to fully protect free education. One thing we need to understand as a citizen of Zambia, we need to understand the foundation and the entire building. So if we want just to focus on the entire building minus focusing on the foundation, then we will never see the building itself. So what we are doing currently, legalizing free education, it's more like preparing a building. It's a foundation. So if we are talking about other gaps that should be part of free education, minus talking about legalizing as one of the foundation, then we are missing a concept. So if someone can say that legalizing free education, it is not fully protecting, then I don't believe if you have something away from legal framework which can give us assurance to say we are now protecting free education. So already we are legalizing free education in the education bill. It is giving us assurance to say now we are protecting the future of the generation to come. Not only that, no, we are operating under democracy, where this political party, they want to do their own, this political party, they want to do their own things. And now you have even seen, Mr. Joe, even our viewers, a number of political parties, especially the opposition, they have been saying to say now you are UPN, let's talk about the real things, the real issue at the ground. no, the UPND, they are using free education maybe to get the numbers. So after some of the responsible advocates, including you and me, we saw it, so we should not by any mistake put this national matter into a political agenda. The government, through the UPND government, they had to listen to us to say, now let's remove this free education from the political constitution into the government constitution. So what we are doing currently is to make sure that we remove the free education agenda in the political constitution of any party to be in the constitution of Zambia. So by doing that, we are now trying to assure ourselves, say, we are protecting free education.
Okay, wonderful. Politics aside, indeed,
Exactly.
I think that's vital, because sometimes people will always rush to say it's political, it's
Exactly.
political. I think you've raised a very important point. Furthermore, how will this bill specifically impact vulnerable children and learners in rural and underserved communities, like they already face barriers to accessing quality education? So how will this bill help those who are vulnerable?
All right, thank you so very much for that wonderful question. I would like first to take you back. There is one point I want to add on the question you asked me, if I believe this legal framework will protect free education. So I earlier mentioned to say what we are doing is a foundation, but the gaps, they are there. So the reason why we are having this radio station is to carry the research, and the reason why you are having me as an advocate is to go in the society and carry the sensitization about free education. So I earlier mentioned to say what we are doing now is to remove these bills in the constitution of the political party to be in the constitution of Zambia. So now the moment we do that, we need now to come up in a collective manner. So when we see now the impact of free education, I want to take the viewers back, especially last year, 2025, when we were enacting Bill 7. So in the Bill 7, the government, they came up with a collective inclusive empowerment, where the young people, the youth, they also should participate in the national matter, in the leadership and so forth. Now we need to ask ourselves to say, what type of people are we going to send in the parliament? What type of people are we going to send in different positions? So those are coming from from education, because if we give free education to people, they are going to have on how to read. They will be impacted with knowledge on how they can serve others. Not only that, we are talking about CDF, which has been a song all over the constituents, and where they say, no, we are giving them skill development. Now we need to ask ourselves to say, what type of people are we giving this skill development? So when we give free education from grade 1 to grade 12, it's more like now we are connecting the developmental agenda of the government, how CDF will be used, because we have now trained someone from grade 1 to grade 12. Then when we give them this CDF, which is skill development, it will be connected. So free education, it is now connecting all the government agenda together to move forward in a progressive manner.
Okay, wonderful. That's wonderful indeed. And then we are looking at the role of young people as well. So what role can the youth play, including civil society and advocacy groups, rather, with regards to influencing and pushing this development agenda?
All right, thank you so very much. So one thing we need to understand, especially in Zambia, where we have a number of youths, percentage of young populations. So if the government, they can give us youths to participate in the national matter, and also allowing the advocates to participate in the national matter, they are trying to promote the culture of participatory governance. So what I mean participatory governance, we should not only give chance to those lawmakers, but we need also to give chance to those who can give insight to the lawmakers to go and make policy. So if they allow the young people and the advocate to come together, meaning that they are now promoting the culture of participatory governance. By doing that, especially in this issue of free education, where we are seeing that this free education is directly giving the benefit to the young people. So if the young people, they can be removed, we allow our dad, we allow our uncle to be contributing, then we are using secondary data, because they are now using the fixed shapes. Okay, in 1965 we're doing this and that. But if we can give chance to us youths, if they can give us a chance to listen to our views, to listen to our cries, now they are correcting the primary data, because we are now trying to match the policy with reality, not policy with something which has been written by a known author. So we want to match free education with a reality. That's why the young people should be given a platform to participate in this national conversation.
Okay, wonderful. So what practical challenges do you foresee in implementing Bill 6 effectively, especially across all provinces in Zambia, even in terms of funding, infrastructure, and staffing?
All right, thank you so very much. I will not talk more about funding and other infrastructure, but I want us to talk about some of the challenges which I've seen might become in this process of legalizing free education. And I want even to caution the member of parliament, especially because we know that they are the one indirect formulating our laws. So if we can have one of the opposition MPs, those who are just busy searching about how they can let down this bill, now they are killing this nation. So we need to make sure that, and we need to caution them, so that at least they can focus on how they can improve the government of Zambia, not how they can improve their parties. We are going toward the election, and that's the fact. So us going toward the election, now some of the MPs, they have seen it to say, no, we should make sure that we let this bill down. They are not letting the bill down, they are letting the nation down. Because we have seen 1 million of young people, we have seen 1 million of vulnerable pupils going back to school. So if someone can sit there and search more information to let this bill down, it can be a challenge of letting this bill down and not giving respect to the constitution. Because we are going to legalize, whether they like it or not, we are going to legalize it. But how are we going to legalize? What are some of the information are we having? So we need to have the responsible member of parliament, those who must go to the research committee, so that they can go and submit something that can strengthen. So legalizing it is one of the steps into in terms of quality and sustainable. Yesterday when the minister announced the teachers. So those teachers who were announced, they are also aligning to free education, because the number of them, if you saw it, they are about 2,000. And he even mentioned to say by the end of this year we should announce another names of teachers who should be employed. They are trying to now give alignment on how they can sustain free education, because free education is coming with a number of packages, packages such as the teachers and also the infrastructure. So we should not talk about where are we going to get money. We should talk about how are we going to plan, because it's more like an investment. You don't talk about the profit when you don't have a capital. So one of the capital we talk about free education is legalizing it. That's the fact.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. I like the way you have brought up, and you keep on emphasizing removing the political issues from it and just focusing on building the nation. And I think that's really cardinal, where we just soldier ahead as a nation. Finally, what message would you like to give students, parents, and citizens on their role in protecting and sustaining free education here in our beloved nation of Zambia?
All right, thank you so very much. Actually, I've been doing this, not only coming to make it as a show, but I usually carry research. So I've been taught a number of pupils, they are now reporting when they feel like the time for the break is 10 hours, someone is coming back at 11 hours. So now when we receive free education, we should now understand to say this is a collective responsibility. This is not something which should only be honored by the government, no. Each and everyone, as long as you are called a citizen of this Zambia, this free education is controlled by you. So the responsibility should also lie with the government and the community. So the community development, at least they should help us to carry community sensitization. Also, we don't have just the parents who are just 100% fully responsible. They are just those parents who are not caring and so forth. So those are things now we need to put into consideration to say we must, when we receive this free education, we should not take it granted. We should respect it. Pay all our efforts to make sure that at least we get a better result from free education. Because when it is now just given as free, now yeah, we understand, especially free thing might be taken for granted, but now we need to pray law. So that's why I was also proposing, if the government through education bill, if they can find one of the objective that is giving restrictions concerning on how the free education should be handled, that one can help. And also not only that, I also want to air out to the government if they can help us within our education bill to expose the hidden cost. You know, Mr. Joe, I'm talking about the hidden cost. We should not learn out from the hidden cost. But if the hidden costs are not well explained, they can lead someone to stop school. And again, it's not everyone who is responsible, as the area mentioned. So if we don't expose the hidden cost, if the government, they don't want to expose the hidden cost, we are expecting one of the parents to send the child undressed and thinking the head teacher will dress that person, because they are talking about free education. Everything is free. So if the hidden cost, they can be exposed in that bill, we are trying to strengthen it. So what we are talking about, don't want just to say, no, we have a free education in a constitution. Want to say, we have something that will leave legacy, we have something that will give respect to the constitution. Because constitution, it is now catering each and everyone. They will say the government of Zambia, they are having some fake bills. So we don't want to have some bills that are fake, but want to make sure that the bill which is the bill that might enter, or which will enter in the constitution, leave respect longer and legacy.
Okay,
sure.
Wonderful. And within the message that you have brought, do you feel there still needs to be more sensitization, even as you have given the message to parents, civil society, and different groups, young people inclusive? Do you still feel there is still more sensitization which needs to be brought up? Because you brought up the issue of hidden costs of free education.
Yes. So the issue of sensitization, Mr. Joe, that is something which we should not even stop at all. So when you go, me personally, I'm coming from village where I've seen children using infrastructure. They have just built an infrastructure with the grasses. But when you go and ask those pupils and the teachers around that place, maybe they will mention to say it's a community school. So one of the sensitization which I would like to air out also to the government to help us, maybe they need also to give us proper mechanisms on how someone can formulate a community school. We don't want to say, no, those guys who have money, they should not come up with a school. No, we should give them opportunity and also contribute to the national development. But what are some of the standards? We need to give a standard that is equal to each and everyone. So if you are coming from the village, you are getting free education, and someone is in town getting free education, but in town is able to access the library, is able to access internet. You in the village, you are unable to access, but you are all enjoying the free education at the same moment. You are trying to get my point, not so? So we are talking about the standards. So each and every school across the country, since we are talking about free education, we need to sensitize to make sure that we don't have a community school which is operating undervalued or under standard of the education. So it's free from grade 1 to grade 7, and each and every pupil, either in town or in village, should access the same level of education.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Titus Mukanga. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. It's always a privilege to have your insight here on the Light TV Breakfast Show, and we have enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Joe, and also to our viewers, we really appreciate you. This is a national matter, so if you have something to air out, please, when talk about the government, you and me, we are the government. So if we can let everything to be controlled by politicians, if we can let everything controlled by people who are just holding the offices, now we are not being true to ourselves. We need to understand that this is our moment. This is, especially in the time of free education, youth, this is our cause. If we are going to receive something which is not equal to what we want, we have made it not to access what we want. Let's give the government what's supposed to be given. Thank you so very much, Mr.
Thank
Joe.
you so much. Thank you, dear viewers. Please stay tuned for more information, and please, we'll be right back. Please stay tuned and enjoy yourself, dear viewer.
welcome to Kisha Classic Couture, where style meets affordability. We have great quality clothes, slippers, speak of anything you would like to wear, we have it here. We are located in Avondale Small Market near the complex. You can reach us on 09735000044 on WhatsApp. Then for Instagram or Facebook, you can search for Kisha Classic Couture. We have nice clothes that you love at affordable price. Then for delivery, we do deliver within Lusaka and outside Lusaka. Outside Lusaka, we use couriers such as Platinum. So please come through. We deliver countrywide. Then within Lusaka, we use bikes to deliver. So we are able to reach you anywhere, wherever you are. We are able to reach you. Hi, welcome to Kisha Classic Couture, where style meets affordability. We have great quality clothes, slippers, speak of anything you would like to wear, we have it here. We are located in Avondale Small Market near the complex. You can reach us on 09735000044 on WhatsApp. Then for Instagram or Facebook, you can search for Kisha Classic Couture. We have nice clothes that you love at affordable price. Then for delivery, we do deliver within Lusaka and outside Lusaka. Outside Lusaka, we use couriers such as Platinum. So please come through. We deliver countrywide. Then within Lusaka, we use bikes to deliver. So we are able to reach you anywhere, wherever you are. We are able to reach you.
There's only one place where worship takes center stage. Worship Holy is an exciting show that opens up the sky as the Holy Spirit takes charge through the Word of God. There is only one place where worship takes center stage. Worship Holy is an exciting show that opens up the skies as the Holy Spirit takes charge through the Word of God. It's time to dwell in the presence of the Lord on this heart-melting show. Worship Holy, exclusive exclusive to Light TV, channel 121 on Top Star.
Greetings everyone, we are here again at Ilenda, Ilepia. So today we have an opportunity to visit a store at downtown. It's called AWS Fashion Stores, and this is where we are right now. So this is AWS Fashion Stores, where they sell different kinds of clothing, men's clothing and women's clothing. There are jeans, t-shirts. We have these t-shirts. We also have Timberland t-shirts. These are very good t-shirts. We have all sorts of stuff. We have t-shirts on this side which are going at 75 kwacha only, and if you're getting 10, you get them at 650 pieces. I mean 650 kwacha for 10 pieces. Likewise, even these plain t-shirts which are also going at 70 kwacha each and 650 for 10 pieces. These very good quality, you can print whatever you want there. And so we are located, like I said earlier, we are located in Lusaka at Downtown Mall, behind.
Welcome back to the Light TV Breakfast Show. We hope you're still tuned in and you're with us, dear viewer, even as we are looking at a very important topic, yet another very important topic, suicide prevention and mental health awareness, which is very, very important. And of course, our guest has a book entitled Suicide is Never a Solution. Now, as we speak right now, we've been following a developing situation involving students from Levi Mwanawasa Medical University who took to the streets to protest over concerns over insecurity and alleged criminal activities in student boarding houses around the PHI area. This situation has raised serious concerns, not only about safety, but also about the emotional and mental well-being of students who are living in fear and uncertainty. Joining us in the studio now is Mr. Cleophas Nkabanga, a final year student at Chalimbana University, author and suicide prevention advocate whose book speaks directly to the issues of despair, hopelessness, and mental resilience. So, Mr. Cleophas Nkabanga, welcome to the Light TV Breakfast Show.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So, tell us about yourself. Who is Mr. Cleophas Nkabanga?
All right, thank you so much. My name is Cleophas Nkabanga. I'm a final year student who is pursuing a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting and Finance at Chalimbana University, specifically from Southern Province, Namwara District.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of starting out your journey as an advocate, what really inspired you as a student to write this book, and what inspired you in the first place to be an advocate?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a good question. So from the beginning, there are some cases where people were living under stress, others were depressed. So they were reaching out to me when somebody is facing some kind of a problem that he cannot really manage to overcome. So they were calling me. You find out a person wants to commit suicide, a person calls you. So I've been counseling them from the word go. So now when I looked at it from the people that I managed to counsel, to see that I think this situation is becoming rampant. So I took a keen interest in searching about what really are the things that are bringing about such kind of issues. And according to the World Health Organization, the statistics shows to say across to 720,000 people across the globe commit suicide per year, which is an enough reason as to why my passion was really ignited in order for me to advocate against suicide.
Okay, wonderful. So was there any personal experience or observation that pushed you into this advocacy work?
All right. As for me, there is no direct personal experience that really pushed me into advocating against suicide. It's all about the passion that I have towards the livelihood of people, and the number of people that reached out to me concerning them going through different kinds of situations that really triggered their minds to committing suicide, and also the global statistics that I found out after researching more about how many people normally commit suicide per year and per month.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, when it comes to understanding the problem, you mentioned a rise in suicide cases, and from your perspective, what are the main causes among young people today? Because I'm sure, as we all know, young people are really being affected by this scourge.
Okay, thank you so much. So concerning the causes of suicidal cases, especially amongst young people, the major cause that has made a lot of people to commit suicide, it's depression. So each and every person out there, they have a desire to succeed. So when they find out to say that whatever that they are trying to, to gather and achieve at the end of the day, if they do not really reach the apex level of things that they need to get, they get depressed. So you find out to say 99% of people across the globe, they are living a life of depression. So the first cause of people having suicidal thoughts is the issue that has to do with depression. Apart from that one, I'll just mention maybe four for the sake of time. So the second one is stress. So a lot of people are trying to succeed in different areas of their lives. It can be even adults, because the statistics shows to say even parents have committed suicide. So it's the issue that has to do with stress, because stress has no gender and has no age. Everyone out there can be stressed. So apart from stress, the other thing that I can talk about as the cause of people developing suicidal thoughts is things that has to do with failure. A lot of us, we have attached our validation to things that we want to do, and also our relevance to our success. So if you do not succeed, automatically it can be in the area of academics, it can be in the area of politics, it can be the area of of business world. So if a person doesn't really succeed in that area, you find out to say men have got that ego and pride. So when failure triggers your emotions, it becomes like you become useless in the society. So the other thing that I can talk about, which is the last, though it's not the least, is the spirit of suicide. So the issue of suicide is it's twofold. It has got a physical approach, and literally it has also a spiritual approach, because I'm sure there are people that have committed suicide. When you look at the reasons as to why a person has committed suicide, it doesn't make sense. Some petty issues, So beyond the physical, there is also a spirit that acts on their thoughts, because the spirit of suicide has no capital of its own. It acts like a parasite that acts on a stimulus. So there is always a situation of which it capitalizes, and that situation, it makes it to look more broader, that your hope begins to shrink and makes you think to say suicide is the only way out.
Okay, thank you very much. So why do you think many young people suffer in silence instead of speaking out? Because some like you mentioned earlier, some of the reasons are petty for committing suicide, and you find some young people actually look healthy. Oh, this young man, you would go to the gym, this young man was physically fit, he was very active, but then suddenly this young man, or even this young lady, very, very handsome, very beautiful, suddenly this person just commits suicide. And why do the people suffer in silence, young people especially, instead of seeking help?
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful question. So the reason as to why people suffer in silence, sometimes it's because of some cultural norms that governs our thinking capacities, and also the way we have concluded and interpret the matters of life. So the issue that is there is that you find out to say there are certain proverbs that we've come across, especially as youths and especially as young men. For instance, they tell you to say that mamuna samalila, okay, which is translated in English to say a man does not cry, okay. So meaning no matter what you are going through, you are supposed to suffer in silence. So now at the end of it all, you find out to say, regardless of you smiling out there, deep down in your heart, you are living in pain. So one of the reasons as to why people are dying in silence is because of some cultural norms, how we have been brought up and what we have been made to believe in. So some belief systems have literally affected our lives. And apart from that, we can literally talk about, some kind of parental upbringing, and also the absentia of their parental guidance. So we find out to say we are living in an era of social media where our parents, I know we appreciate their efforts, we appreciate their hard work, but at the end of it all, they are not finding time to talk with their children, to talk with their they are their kids. So at the end of it all, children are suffering in silence. They don't even know the last time they talked with their parents. They don't even know the last time they talked with their mother. So each time the parents gets back home, they are tired. They literally don't even have time to spend with their family. So at the end of it all, those children are going through a lot of trauma without, opening up to any other person. So the other thing that I can talk about, maybe for the sake of time, the issue that has to do with, self-condemnation. There are people that have been brought up in a certain situation where they were abused in the past, and they've just condemned themselves to say that no matter what happens, me, it's end from here, and there is nothing good that can come out of me. Even if I'm to tell somebody, pain has changed how they can approach situations. So they feel better alone than opening up to anyone. So they feel condemned. They live in that area of, the spirit of complexity, whereby they cannot talk to anyone. They feel inferior. So those are major things that have caused a lot of people, to die in silence.
Okay. And in your view, what are the early warning signs that someone may be struggling with suicidal thoughts?
Okay, thank you so much. I think I also mentioned such in my book. This one, Suicide is Never a Solution. So I talked about a chapter specifically that talks about the signs of that we can trigger, or that we can know that a person wants to commit suicide. The first one above all is when you are chatting with a person and the person just abruptly has a desire to die. Okay, in the old days people feared death, but you find out that this time around it's something that everyone wants to do. People, they desire to die. So when you find out to say a person is talking about death, no, I wish I can just die, life is so stressful, I'm just tired of this situation, academics, issues and everything. So when you notice that a person has continuously talking about a desire to die, that's the first sign or a string that tells us to say that this person has developed suicidal thoughts. Okay, apart from that one, maybe we can also talk about the issue that has to do with isolation from your friends. A person that used to find, to be found with your friends abruptly just changes to say, I just want to be alone. So some people who are found alone, they are not literally, as we can put them, to say that maybe they don't want to interact with a lot of people. It's because they are battling against suicidal thoughts. So when you see a person withdrawing from the friends, dear parents, you are supposed to know that something is wrong against this person. So apart from that, we can also talk about, searching for ways on how a person can take his own life. That such one is also a string, such that when we connect it together, it leads us to knowing that a person has really developed some suicidal thoughts, and the spirit of suicide maybe might have been feasting against the situation that a person is going through.
Okay, wonderful. So what role do social media, peer pressure and economic challenges play in this current crisis?
Okay, thank you so much. So concerning social media, social media, in as much as it can be a positive tool, we appreciate its impact that it is bringing on the lives of people. But at the end of it, or if we do not utilize social media properly, it will do more harm than good. So in my book, I talked about one of the ways that makes people to develop suicidal thoughts to be, social media bullying. Nowadays there is what is known as cyberbullying, and there's also things that has to do with AI. We are in a digital era where we appreciate everything that is happening and what AI has brought about. But at the end of it all, there are some people that have gone extra miles that are bullying their friends, because of social media issues. Somebody can make a mistake, but at the end of it all, you find out to say social media has really capitalized on the errors of people. We have got trending videos, we have got different kinds of stories. A mistake just goes viral. So at the end of it all, you find out to say that a person develops that fear and that condemnation to a degree to which they feel like they cannot become good again. So at the end of it all, social media has impacted them negatively. Others are committing suicide because of that. So the other thing that the social media has impacted on the case that we are talking about, there are people who are copying it from other friends. Okay, nowadays you find out the person, before she dies, she almost arranges the funeral preparations. You are supposed to do this before I die. So when people are exposed to such kind of things, they think to say like suicide is easy and it's the only way out. So suicide, social media has got two sides. It has impacted the issue of suicide in a negative way and also in a positive way.
Okay. So when we look at the missing piece that you mentioned, you talk about both psychological and spiritual dimensions of suicide. Can you briefly explain that? I'm sure our viewers are curious and want to know, like, you're saying it's psychological, you're also saying it's spiritual. So what's the correlation of that? Kindly briefly explain.
Okay, thank you so much. So from the preamble, I talked about it to say, the issue of suicide can be addressed in a twofold, okay? It has got two approaches. So if we are completely to eradicate the situation of suicide, then we are supposed to take two approaches. So from my analysis and my research, I've come to realize, I'm not the first person to advocate against suicide, and the issue of suicide has not started in this era. They started a long time ago. So meaning there are some things that people have been trying to put across. There are some ways out that people have tried to put across. But in as much as their efforts can be appreciated, I feel to say behind or beyond having a physical approach of looking for a therapist, looking for somebody you can talk to, I think there is also a spiritual dimension to this issue that has to do with suicide. Why? Because I learned it from scripture, from the book of Luke chapter number 22 verse 1. When you read the story of Judas Iscariot, or the scenario there, how he ended his life. At the end of it all, I came to a realization to say, no, this issue, it is a twofold. It has also the spiritual dimension. Why do I say so? Also, the scripture also tells us from the book of 2 Corinthians, I believe chapter 4 verses number 10, that our weapons of warfare are not carnal. And also Ephesians 6 verse number 10, the Bible says from number 12 that we wrestle not. So meaning we are talking about something that has got a spiritual side and also a physical side. So from my book and my advocacy, I'm balancing the two. So those that needs to be attended to physically, the issue of poverty, there are people that are committing suicide because of lack. There are people that are committing suicide because they do not have anybody to help them. So where physical help is supposed to be given, we make sure to say we approach it through a physical way. Where spiritual issue or spiritual reality is supposed to be applied, we are here to make sure to say such kind of people, they are brought to church, they look for their pastor, they are counseled, and they are literally being prayed for, because a spirit is supposed to be casted out their lives, and they are supposed to be taught on how they can maintain sustenance after such kind of an issue happens.
Okay, wonderful. Now, your book talks about an overcomer's mindset. What does that really mean in practical terms, especially for a young person?
Okay, so when you talk about the overcomer's mindset, my whole essence of advocating against suicide, I don't want to do it because of anything else. I want to shift the mindsets of people from being talkers to being living in an idea or an environment, or rather they accept suicide is never a solution as a reality in their lives. So what I'm talking about when I say the overcomer's mindset, I want to shift the attention of people from just talking about, no, suicide is never a solution, no, let's end suicide. I want each one of us out there to live in an environment where it has become part of your life, to say no matter what happens, suicide is never a solution, and I have overcome. No matter what happens, no matter situations that can come through, I have believed the reality to say that life has got different phases, and whatever that is presented before me, I will definitely overcome. So about the overcomer's mindset, I'm shifting people from just talking about it to living it.
Okay, wonderful. And your book addresses suicidal thoughts as signals of deep pain. What does that mean? Okay,
thank you so much. So when you talk about suicidal thoughts as the signals of deeper pain, so what I mean is that as I explained in the preamble, to say, suicide has got two things that are involved. There is always a stimulus and a parasite. So suicide has no capital of its own, or a spirit of suicide has no capital of its own. So when I talk about the strings, I'm talking about there are certain things that happens within the life of an individual. It can happen within the mindset of a person. It can happen within the heart of a person. So when we find out that a person wants to commit suicide, or a person is attempting to commit suicide, there are certain things that makes them do such, that when we begin to search around and begin to ask such kind of people the reasons as to why they really wanted to commit suicide, there are certain things like dots, we begin to connect them, and as we follow them clearly, they will point us to some situations that makes them to commit suicide. So what I'm talking about is that a person does not commit suicide without anything. So you will not just find a person waking up early in the morning and say, okay, I just want to commit suicide. There is always a situation that causes that pain, and of which where the spirit of suicide fits on at the end of which, or when you search around, you find out to say a person is really suffering from something. It can be depression, it can be stress, it can be failure, it can be different kinds of things that I've just talked about.
Okay. So tell us about your book, Suicide is Never a Solution. What is the core message in the book, and what can readers take away from it? What's the strongest message in any chapter of the book, and what can people do?
Okay, thank you so much. So this book, as I talked about it, it's written, Suicide is Never a Solution. So we are not just talking about suicide. I didn't put suicide is not a solution because it might seem to look like it's temporal. So I put to say suicide is never a solution. So meaning no matter the circumstance of life a person can go through, we are here to combat the issue that has to do with suicide. Then here it is tagged, subtitle to say, battling against suicidal thoughts and also against the spirit of suicide. So in this book, Suicide is Never a Solution, I went ahead. When you look at the chapters, they're not that much. Chapter 1, I talked about, I defined what suicide and also suicidal thoughts are. So I went ahead, not only that, I talked about some things that has to do with where do suicidal thoughts come from? Because we cannot just talk about the spirit of suicide or suicidal thoughts without really pointing to the root cause. Where do these things come from? So not only that, chapter number 3, I talked about how definitely can we overcome the suicidal thoughts. Okay, I didn't just end from there. I did try to talk about the spirit of suicide and how that spirit of suicide operates in chapter 4. So chapter number 5, I talked about how really we can overcome this the suicidal thoughts. How can a person overcome? Because we'll not just talk about the spirit of suicide or suicide is never a solution as if we are amplifying it. So we need to find out the solutions on how people can overcome suicidal thoughts. Apart from that, chapter number 6, I talked about how really can we overcome the spirit of suicide. Because we cannot just talk about the spirit of suicide without us pointing people to the solutions on how we can, overcome the spirit of suicide. Then the final chapter of this book, I talked about the overcomer's mindset. After you have gone through a lot of things, you have gone through the trauma of life, you have gone through depression, you have gone through stress, you've gone through different kinds of things, even things that you cannot share with us. We are here to advocate against suicide and to make sure to say, once you read this book, the final chapter is that you accept that suicide is never the solution and you live it as your reality. So in short, this book is there to stand as a guide, as a family guide, as an institutional guide, and just a roadmap that can help everybody overcome the spirit of suicide.
Okay, wonderful. So if someone is struggling and they come across this book, what should they feel or do immediately after that?
Okay, thank you so much. If somebody feels like wants to commit suicide, or maybe is going through some situations that are really terrible that they cannot really manage to overcome, so the first solution that is there is that a person can get a copy of this book. It's not that expensive. It's just something that is as low as a 250 kwacha. A person can get this copy. If the person cannot really manage to get the copy at that amount, we can definitely negotiate, because at the end of it all, it's not about business, it's about saving lives. So apart from that, if a person cannot manage to get a copy, because it's not everyone who has finances, and the spirit of suicide does not wait until a person has finances. If it attacks a person, if a family have identified some kinds of strings, they can definitely reach me out. I'm on Facebook, Keofas Nakabanga. They can reach me direct. And if they cannot reach to me, they can definitely look for people who are matured, people who have got wisdom, who can definitely help them, to counsel them. They can look for mentors, they can look for pastors, they can look for any person that is matured enough to encourage them, or a person who has a heart that when they open up to, he can definitely keep that situation without really taking it on media so that it can be publicized.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Mr. Keofas. I think this book is really helpful, and I'm glad that you're doing so much as an advocate, and it's always a joy to have you on the Light TV Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, there you have it, dear viewers. Indeed, this is a crisis. We are battling suicide and mental awareness, and this is something